All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, and you know what that means. Time for some Wednesday wisdom, diving deeper into the lost wisdom of the Pharaohs and the wisdom of the Hermetica, coming to us from the figure of Hermes, who was venerated as a great and mythical teacher in the ancient world, and was rediscovered by some of the finest minds of the Renaissance, ladies and gentlemen. The writings attributed to his hand are a time capsule of Egyptian and Greek esoteric philosophy and have influenced some of the greatest minds and times throughout history. And so here we are getting into what it describes itself as the first truly accessible compendium of the mystical philosophy attributed to the legendary sage god, Hermes Trismegistus, a combination of the Egyptian Thoth and the Greek Hermes. Now the Hermetica, has been a fascinating and fun series so far, ladies and gentlemen, and now we find ourselves on chapter number 5, entitled The Living Cosmos. And in the beginning of this series, we went through an introduction to the history of the Hermetica and how it finds its way all throughout the ages and thousands of years into our hands today. But last week was most fascinating. We went through contemplating creation and a description of what God really is. But today we're diving into the living cosmos. So I hope you got yourself a beverage, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's hot tea or a cold beverage. Let's see what the tea says today. Love is the highest of all virtues. I was just thinking about patience yesterday and how patience is a virtue and how infinite patience produces immediate results. This is another one of Wayne Dyer's teachings. If you missed Tuesday Tao yesterday, reading from Dr. Wayne W. Dyer, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao, be sure to check that out and check that series out on my channel. It was very good, enlightening stuff. But so this idea that when you are waiting for something and you are impatient, you tend to experience more negative aspects of reality as far as frustration or, anger or anxiety or all of these things that come from being impatient. And the teaching that infinite patience produces immediate results, you would say to yourself, well, how does that work? Aren't you still waiting? And the answer would be yes, but you've solved the problem because you are now patient. And so even though you are still waiting, you are having none of the negative side effects of impatience. And so that's another one of those fascinating things that is a virtue that has this paradoxical effect of infinite patience produces immediate results because you are no longer waiting. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, in this chapter, Hermes succinctly outlines the essence of his philosophical ideas and paints the picture of the cosmos as a living being, teeming with life. And so let's dive right into, once again, we're reading from the Hermetica, The Lost Wisdom of the Pharaohs by Timothy Freke and Peter Gandy. It's a Tarsha Cornerstone edition for purposes of teaching and commentary and expanding the mind to create a greater awareness, enlightenment, ladies and gentlemen. It begins by saying, quote, in the beginning. In the beginning, there is unity, it says. Remember, we always talk about this oneness, ladies and gentlemen. Unity, it continues, separates into two fundamental forces. And so oneness and then the polarities that are based on the oneness. Back to what it's saying here, which, like the negative and positive poles of a battery, generate everything. Hermes describes them as light and life, which become mind and soul. we experience them as thoughts and feelings. So these are a lot of principles being put down really fast here. So take notes here. Out of unity comes the two fundamental forces, which are like negative and positive poles of a battery, or negative and positive poles of an electromagnetic field, which create balance, I'll add, in between the poles. One cannot exist without the other, because it is technically from a unity, a oneness. But this negative and positive generate everything. Hermes describes them as light and life, number one. Number two, light and life become mind and soul. And then we experience them as thoughts and feelings. The oneness, it continues, of God is both light and life. So it's both poles. These two forces are parents of the mind of the cosmos. So if you've missed our previous episodes, the mind of the cosmos is part of what most people think of as God. But we've described the being or the nature of God and what God really is already in this series, and the mind of God. And so there's a lot of this understanding in previous episodes. So if you've missed any, be sure to go back and check that out, because this is very powerful. And so the oneness of God is both light and life, both polarities. These two forces are the parents of the mind of the cosmos. This was experienced by Hermes in his original mystical vision as the Word. So you'll remember if you've seen that episode. And if you haven't, then think of other theologies where the Word plays an important role as being, I think it was there's the Logos, and then see, if you know where I'm going, you'll get that there. But the Word, ladies and gentlemen, which calmed the dark waters. And so that's mirroring other stories, the fundamental laws of nature which bring order to the chaos. The physical cosmos, the book continues, is a perfect reflection of this ordering principle, the mind of the cosmos. The mind of the cosmos, the Word, is in turn a reflection of God. This is really deep, so if you have to pause and rewind or rewatch this at any time, be sure to do so. So this mind of the cosmos, the Word, is in turn a reflection of God, or Atum, or Force, or Tao, grand organized design, great spirit, whatever that is for you. And just as a spoken word reflects the intention of its speaker, see, we are a micro reflection that shows the macro, created in the image, remember those words as well. But just as a spoken word reflects the intention of its speaker, the Word, or the mind of the cosmos, is a reflection of Atum, or God. Since God is all goodness, the cosmos is therefore also good. Because the cosmos is made in the image of its creator, it too is an immortal living being. It is therefore impossible that any part of it can be dead. At its conception, it was filled with energy, which, as modern science has now proved, can neither be created nor destroyed. So unlike the myriad forms that it passes through, energy itself is immortal. God is the source of this energy, which, through the laws of nature, creates life. The cosmic mind receives energy from God and gives it to all things within the cosmos. Through this process, the cosmos is completely saturated with soul, the life force. Everything in it is alive. Nothing is dead. not even so-called inanimate things. Thinking of rocks and trees. Everything has a certain level of life to it, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, even stones become diamonds. See, this goes back to a study of consciousness and the different levels and, different strengths or amplifications of consciousness in certain things, whether it be inanimate objects or human beings themselves. But it's fascinating to look into the different levels of consciousness and understanding that nothing is dead, not even so-called inanimate things, so that reality itself, understanding that there is consciousness in the things that we deem as being inanimate, as far as books and tables. This is a different study, though. Nevertheless, it is also very fascinating. I think this is what people reference when they talk about objects being impregnated with resonances of certain kinds of energy, whether it be spooky or grand and fantastical with healing abilities. But, ladies and gentlemen, nothing is dead. The cosmos is a great living being, the book continues, which in turn gives life to all the lesser beings it contains. It is the whole which nourishes its parts, like a parent caring for its children. And see, this is a challenging concept for those of us who haven't really spent a lot of time in constant contemplation and trying to get pure philosophy of this understanding of how oneness can exist in a world of duality and how God and reality itself and the universe are related to that through all the functioning laws and principles that there are that we have come to observe. I'm sure there are many that we are missing, but Hermes is giving us a vision through many translations. It makes me wonder what was in the original works before being translated, because if you remember, it was Hermes who said, once these words are translated, they will be, not as good, so to speak, but we are doing the best we can, ladies and gentlemen. So, with that being said, we get now into the words of Thoth, or Hermes Trismegistus, thrice greatest, in the section entitled The Living Cosmos. And so Hermes, or Thoth, begins by saying, the primal mind, which is life and light, being bisexual, gave birth to the mind of the cosmos. The primal mind is ever unmoving, eternal, and changeless. Containing within it this cosmic mind, which is imperceptible to the senses. The cosmos which sense perceives is a copy and image of this eternal cosmic mind, like a reflection in a mirror. First of all, and without beginning, is Atum. Second is the cosmos, made in his likeness. As the cosmos is a second God, it is also an immortal being. And because everything in the cosmos is part of the cosmos, it is impossible that any part of it should die, for the cosmos is all life. From its first foundations, there has never existed a single thing which was not alive. There is not, and there has never been, and never will be anything in the cosmos that is dead. Atum is light, the everlasting source of energy, the eternal dispenser of life itself. Once energy has been dispensed, its supply is governed by eternal cosmic laws. The cosmos has its being within the eternal energy from which all life issues. So it is impossible for it to ever stop or be destroyed. It is contained and bound together by the eternal life force. The cosmos dispenses this life to all the things within it. It has a twofold movement. Energy is infused into the cosmos from eternity, and it in turn infuses life into all things within it. Mind and soul are manifestations of light and life. Everything moves by the power of soul, the body of the cosmos, within which all bodies are contained. It is completely saturated with soul. Soul is entirely illuminated by mind. Mind is totally permeated by Atum. Soul fills and encompasses the whole body of the cosmos. It gives life to the great and perfect living creature, which is the cosmos, which in turn gives life to all the lesser living creatures it contains. The cosmos is the whole, which generates and nourishes the parts, like a parent caring for its children. It receives its supply of goodness from Atum, and it is this goodness which is the true power of creation. And since Atum is all goodness, the cosmos is also good. And those are the words of thrice greatest Hermes, Thoth, or Hermes Trismegistus. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that's powerful. Quick little section there on the living cosmos in an esoteric, occult, mystical, ancient Egyptian understanding of more of the nature of God, but the nature of the universe and the functioning of reality and the principles of creation. I really have no idea how to describe this section. It's one of those ones that you're like, whoa, that's deep, very important. Let's see what stands out to me here. The primal mind being something important, so you can separate that, which is life and light. So you have these two things. The fact that it mentions it being bisexual is very interesting as well. I wonder how that relates to other things that we know of. If you don't know of, then you'll find out if you keep researching these topics. And then giving birth to the mind of the cosmos. So the primal mind giving birth to the mind of the cosmos. This primal mind is it's ever changeless. It's eternal. It is always there. It's like the underlying force. Maybe. They use that term a lot, so take it with a grain of sand, but containing within it this cosmic mind. Fascinating. So the mind of the cosmos is the cosmic mind. The primal mind is where the mind of the cosmos resides. And remember the word. Because the mind of the cosmos, the word is the word. It is the reflection of the primal mind. So in other words, it is the physical polarity of the non-physical polarity. There are these, from the world of waves and particles from the world of waves to the world of particles. And the particle world is a reflection of the world of waves. And so, like it's saying there, this cosmos, which since perceives is a copy and image of the eternal cosmic mind, like a reflection in a mirror. First of all, the next section begins, and without beginning, which is interesting, is Atum. Second is the cosmos. So is Atum the primal mind? Question mark. This is kind of what I'm getting, because the primal mind was what gave birth to the mind of the cosmos, or this cosmic mind. And so the universe that we see in physical, actual reality is a copy of the cosmic mind. So both of those are even lower than primal mind. See, this is very deep, ladies and gentlemen. This is why Thoth, Hermes suggests in the first lesson of all, spiritual striving, pure philosophy, ladies and gentlemen, is spiritual striving through constant contemplation to attain true knowledge of Atum, the one God. But speaking now of the living cosmos, made in his likeness. So the cosmos, first of all, there was Atum, and then there was the cosmos made in Atum's likeness. And as the cosmos became, or is a second God, is interesting also. So also an immortal being. And because everything in the cosmos is part of it, is impossible for any of that to die, because the cosmos itself is all life. From its first foundations, there has never existed a single thing. So you could just kind of reread it and keep taking things out of it in your own extrapolations. And this is why I encourage each of us to do this, to extrapolate for ourselves and contemplate on what each of these things could mean to us, because through collaboration with each other and through a contemplation of this great mystical knowledge, the wisdom, the lost wisdom of the ages, is how we can begin to bring back the golden age, ladies and gentlemen, and a connection to a grander vision, which was described in yesterday's video, which I have been told are high and lofty goals, but they are most noble, ladies and gentlemen. And so, talking about Atum being the cosmos, and that being a reflection of the non-physical version of that, which came from primal mind, so the mind of the universe, which is God, or Atum, is always alive. And it says, within the cosmos, there never can have been anything that is dead, because just like energy, Atum is the light, the everlasting source of energy. So Atum is light, and the cosmos is life. Isn't Atum the cosmos? Question mark. No. Atum is the mind of the cosmos. And the cosmos is the reflection of Atum that we see in the physical world. Atum is light, which is not the cosmos, but it is everlasting source of energy, life force, the force. See, this is God. This is the God that I'm always thinking of. The cosmos I think of as the creation of Atum, or force, or this life source of energy. What's described here as the eternal dispenser of life itself. Once energy has been dispensed, its supply is governed by eternal cosmic laws. Coming to know these eternal cosmic laws, like I said yesterday, if we can create a greater understanding of reality, then we can create a greater quality of experience. A greater quality of our experience through a greater understanding of the nature of reality. And so, with that being said, sometimes It's easier than others. But these eternal cosmic laws, it's what we're discovering through this grand mystical understanding that comes to us from thousands of years ago, to help us try to grasp and to give us inspiration into a knowledge that there is a way to understand the way that reality works and how we can begin to function with it in an alignment with force and create an ability within ourselves through practice and constant contemplation to create a much higher quality of experience for not only ourselves, but the world and those around us and even future generations, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what this is really all about. You know, magic and whatever mystical things that are out there that people like to get into are one thing, but we're here for pure philosophy, spiritual understanding, greater awareness, and an ability to help people enjoy life more, experience more peace, more joy, more happiness, more excitement, more adventure, more peace. I said that twice. Peace is one of those things that I think a lot of us need a whole lot more of, because some of us might get too much excitement and too much calamity. Remember, find what you look for, but satisfaction and fulfillment and purpose and a drive and a spark in knowing that we are pieces of this grand eternal design based on the eternal cosmic laws and this everlasting source of light and life and energy itself. And that we have the ability through the principle of mind to experience and contemplate it in reflection. This is just the ultimate gift, ladies and gentlemen, that we have this ability. And so we better appreciate it, because remember, that was the lesson of contemplating creation, was knowing that there is this, and then appreciating it and seeing the beauty not only in all of creation, but in yourself and everything, and knowing that everything you look at is an example of God, and trying to see the beauty in life. But this is fascinating and super deep, ladies and gentlemen. The cosmos has its being within the eternal energy from which all life issues, so it's impossible for it to ever stop or be destroyed, contained and bound together by the eternal life force. Cosmos dispenses this life, has a twofold movement, so this might be an important part. Energy is infused into the cosmos from eternity, so like, and then in turn, so energy comes into the cosmos from eternity, and then in turn, it infuses life into all the things which within the universe or the cosmos. So like we're thinking beyond space in the ether, or, you know, whatever you think of that is, energy comes from the primal mind into the cosmic mind, and then from the cosmic mind into, from Atum, the energy dispenser of light, into the cosmos, which is life, and that energy is infused to the cosmos from eternity, and then it turns it into life and infuses it into all the things within the physical reality, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just guessing. This is how I'm getting this. And if it's making sense and if you're getting value, then thank you for being here so much, and consider subscribing, ladies and gentlemen. This has been one of the more mind-blowing sections here. So then, mind and soul. Because we talked about light and life, see, there is these three components: light and life and mind and soul and thinking. We said it in the beginning: light and life, and then the mind of the cosmos. Yeah, light and life, which become mind and soul, and then we experience them as thoughts and feelings. So we just talked about light and life being atum, and the physical reflection of that as the cosmic mind or the cosmos. Then there are mind and soul, which are manifestations of the previous two, which is a big, you'll get this in the Hermetic understanding of the elements. Like, here's what I use my bookmark as for, the element of fire, whereas in that game they call it mountains, but that would be different because that would make you think of earth. But anyways, from the Akasha principle, I believe first came light, which is the fiery principle. And then came, I believe, the element of water, which was its opposite polarity. See, that was in the beginning of this. You had this oneness, which then out of it came these opposite polarities, which was necessary for everything else to exist, because from those two principles, the manifestations of the other principles, having an intermediary of air and then coming earth, there's an order to this, that you have to have the previous ones in order to have the manifestation of the next ones, and so on and so forth. And there is what is described as the universe being governed by some eternal cosmic law, or natural law, as we like to describe it here in our, earthly existence. And so mind and soul are manifestations of the previous two principles of light and life. Everything moves by power of the soul, by the power of soul, not power of the soul. See, it's easy to throw these words off because we've been indoctrinated to think of them as certain ways by other philosophies and theologies. The body of the cosmos, which within all bodies are contained. Okay, so like the universe, and then within the universe, everything else is contained. Pretty simple here. Is completely saturated with soul. So it's getting to soul here first. And then from soul, no. Soul is illuminated, entirely illuminated, it says, by mind. So going back to this, what it's said already, the cosmic mind, or the primal mind, and then the cosmos. And then you have mind and soul, which mind is like light, and soul is like cosmos. Once again, the non-physical and the physical, from the waves to the particles. And these are all keys to everything, really. I was going to say manifesting, because that's what I'm most fascinated in. But the lifelong journey, ladies and gentlemen, we're lifelong learners. And then once you stop being a lifelong learner, you lose your passion and your drive to want to go on and find more and seek to discover the hidden wisdom of the ages and the lost wisdom of the Pharaohs. But this is fascinating. So we'll finish up with this little bit, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, thank you for being here. I love and appreciate all of you. Hope you're getting value. Share this with somebody who is like-minded, so you can support what we do here. The body of the cosmos is completely saturated with soul. Soul is illuminated by mind. Mind is totally permeated by atum. Soul fills and encompasses the whole body of the cosmos. It gives life. See, that's so deep. That's another layer of principles working into each other, like we were just describing there. So atum is light. Mind Atum is light. Mind is totally permeated by atum. And when we say mind, we're not talking about our brains and our mind. We're talking about this non-physical capacity that we have a very small version of that is a mirror image of the mind of God. And if you missed the Mind of God video, be sure to check that out because it makes a lot more of this make sense. But this also makes a lot more of how the Hermetics and the cosmic law makes more sense about how each of these principles play into each other to allow reality to function and exist in the way that it does, ladies and gentlemen. So the cosmos, being a mirror image of cosmic mind, is completely saturated with soul, which is manifestation of light and life. And soul is illuminated by mind, and mind is totally permeated by Atum, which goes back to one of the higher principles. It could almost be a diagram. I bet if you made a diagram of all this, it would look really similar to probably some kind of electrical diagram, ladies and gentlemen. That's just a fascinating theory. I'm not sure. Soul then fills and encompasses the whole body of the cosmos, and then it gives life to the great and perfect living creature, which is the cosmos, which in turn gives life to all the lesser creatures which it contains. See, there's always this micro and macro going on, and remember that being one of the 7 principles of Hermetics. And we'll do those to finish here. The cosmos is the whole, which generates and nourishes its parts. It receives its supply of goodness. See, I wonder what goodness translates to, because we think of goodness in a certain way from our limited duality physical experience perspective, or maybe it means that, but Atum sends this supply of goodness, which is the true power of creation. See, that makes me really want to know what this goodness stuff actually is. Is it a different principle that might be better described in a different way? I'm not sure. But the cosmos is the image of Atum. Since Atum is all goodness, then this surely means the cosmos is all good. Fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. Very fascinating. And that is a diagram description of the nature of the universe and reality. The Hermetic Esoteric Occult description of the nature of the universe and reality, ladies and gentlemen. Holy cow, that's a boom to knowledge. If you see, we're almost catching up to my bookmark, which is just a little bit ahead of where we are. I was on the creation of humankind, which is a fascinating section of its own. But next week, ladies and gentlemen, on Wednesday Wisdom, we'll be doing the circle of time. And in this chapter, Hermes explores the nature of time and change. Where did I set it? This is also a good book. The Sword and the Clay, a story of brotherhood and honor that spans 2,000 years. Written and illustrated by Scotty Roberts. And so, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we'll finish here with the 7. Is it in this book? Okay, yeah, it's got to be. I think there's just translations here. The history of the tablet. See, this is the Emerald Tablet of Hermes. Hermes Trismegistus. Yeah, it's got all these versions, see, of the Emerald Tablet. 12th century Latin translations from Aurelium Philosophorium, translation of Isaac Newton. Well, let's do the Isaac Newton one. Oh, maybe, or from the Phoenician. Anyways, yeah, let's do the Isaac. Which one do you want to do, ladies and gentlemen? From the Phoenician. translated from the Chaldean allegedly, from Madame Blavatsky. All right, there we go. Can't turn that one down. So it takes out the first line in Madame Blavatsky's version that Isaac Newton put the first line as, "'Tis true, without lying, certain and most true." And so there's this idea of verily, verily, or the double entendre, I believe, which making something very significant in importance. And so Madame Blavatsky writes these principles as, anyways, what is below is like that which is above, and what is above is similar to that which is below, to accomplish the wonders of the one thing, which is a lot of what we just discussed in today and last week's teaching and in all of the teachings. So then, if that was number one, number two, as all things were produced by the meditation of one thing, so all things were produced from this one by adaptation. I haven't heard this version. This is very fascinating. Its father is the sun, its mother is the moon. And then it jumps from 4 to 6a, so there's missing stuff. It is the cause of all perfection throughout the whole earth. It is the power. Its power is perfect if it is changed into earth. Separate the earth from the fire, the subtle from the gross, acting prudently and without judgment. This is not the 7 principles I was going for, ladies and gentlemen. Ascend with the greatest sagacity from earth to heaven, and unite together the power of things inferior and superior. Thus you will possess the light of the whole world, and all obscurity will fly away from you. This is also fascinating. This thing that has more fortitude than fortitude itself, because it will overcome every subtle thing and penetrate every solid thing. By it, the world was formed. And that ends Madame Blavatsky's little section there, but I grabbed the wrong book. It's over. One sec, ladies and gentlemen. I want to get this in for the end here. Okay, here we go. So we have a real long dialogue about it, but simply put, the Kabbalion, which is a connection, presents itself as the essence of the teaching of Hermes Trismegistus, legendary semi-divine figure we know about Hermes, ladies and gentlemen. So the Kabbalion is organized, this more Hermetic philosophy, is organized into 7 basic principles. So we're learning that a lot of this philosophy from the Hermetica and all of this is about the working and the connection and how these natural cosmic laws work in an order of basic principles that, when you use the word basic to describe them, boggles the mind because they're very deep, ladies and gentlemen, as we've learned. But anyways, the 7 basic principles, which it says form the basis of Hermetic, esoteric, and occult philosophy. Number 1, mentalism, and the fact that the all is mind and the universe is mental. Number 2, correspondence, as above, so below, as below, so above. Number 3, vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Number 4, polarity. See, we're getting all of these in our video today in the description of the cosmos. Everything is dual. Everything has poles and has its pair of opposites. Number 5, rhythm. Everything flows in and out, and everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. Number 6, cause and effect. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Universal, cosmic, natural law, maybe, according to the principles. And then number 7, gender, is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. Maybe we'll get into this book one day, because this Helps us learn a lot more of what we're learning in the Hermetica. Look at this little highlighted bit. The Kabbalion and Shin herself went on to influence probably the best-known advocate of positive thinking in the 20th century, Norman Vincent Peale. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, we just learned more of the powerful power that this ancient esoteric lost wisdom of the ages, lost wisdom of the Pharaohs, and the power and effect that it can have on the greatest times and minds throughout history, ladies and gentlemen, and help us create a higher quality of experience, hopefully. So remember, seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment, through a greater awareness and understanding of reality. Seek to discover the hidden mysteries and the hidden wisdom of the ages, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. So if we can bring that to life, all the things that we've been telling ourselves, oh, I'll be happy when I finally get there, become irrelevant because we are already there. And hopefully the entire journey is wonderful. All right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That is a boom to wisdom, a boom to the wisdom of the ages and the lost wisdom of the Pharaohs. And we'll have the book linked below for you to get for yourself to put on your shelf in the description below the video. Hit where it says more and expand that. Check out everything we got down there, as well as a link to C60 Purple Power, the most powerful antioxidant known to man. Give yourself the gift of health. And also a link to my Etsy shop for my landscape paintings. If you want one of those, ladies and gentlemen, I think there's a link, or not a link, but I think my email is down there as well if you'd like to get into contact about something else. Thank you so much once again, ladies and gentlemen. I love and appreciate all of you, and I'll see you next week on Tuesday Tao, and hopefully we'll do some short videos in between then and next week's Wisdom of the Ages, Wednesday Wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for being here, and we'll catch you next time. Be the change you want to see. Be the example